what was special about a few different players like Elaine King? What made her so special?
So Elaine had been around for a long time. She started quite young, and it took her probably a decade before she really reached the top, reached the pinnacle of her game. And she was very studious. She was very intellectual about the shots, and she just utilized her skills, the best she could. She didn't try to be the farthest off the tee. She didn't try to do wild and crazy things. She just did what she knew she could do, and she did it very well.
Mm-hmm. I saw a video of a shot of hers. It was a downhill shot, 850 feet according to the video, and hit the basket.
Oh, I thought there was more to that you were going to mention.
Oh, was there more?
Yes, the more is that she almost hit me. I had to jump out of the way.
Oh, that I did not know.
That was in 2003 at the World Championships in Flagstaff, Arizona, and that was on Snow Bowl was the course. It's a ski resort, and that was, I think it was the final hole. But I mean, it was the signature downhill hole. You work your way up this course the whole time, and then in one hole you get all the way back down. And yes, it was at least that far.
I just saw the video of them talking about her throwing that shot and hitting the basket. I didn't know who was down there at the basket.
Yes, I think I was pulling a disc out of the basket when it came in, and I literally had to jump out of the way to not get it.
That's awesome. Des Redding.
Des has that, I'm gonna kill this shot. I'm really gonna get this. So she is a former Division I college pitcher. So she really, really has, the game mentality and the confidence, and she just steps it up when she's in competition, and quite frankly, it can be intimidating.
So she she has a swagger about her.
She can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Valerie Jenkins.
Valerie was amazing to watch because, I met Valerie when she was approximately 15 years old, and her entire family huge into disc golf, but she, I don't really care, So I can remember one round, it was on a Toronto Island Open, and that used to be a big tournament, and she was there, but she was just walking along with her mom, and I think we were wearing the same tennis shoes, so we sort of bonded a little bit on the fact that we had the same pair of tennis shoes on. But then when she started playing, it's like she didn't care, and she was so good. She could throw it farther than almost anybody, probably farther than all the women, and it just looked like it was effortless. And I actually think that was to her benefit, because there were no worries. There was no what if this misses. It's like, who cares? Just throw
it. And one thing I found funny when I looked this up, that you beat her husband and her brother
at one of the USDGCs.
Yes, it was at 2001, I believe. I looked up. I think
could be. I don't recall.
I think on that, but Avery Jenkins and Nate Doss. For those who don't know, I found that to be awesome. Paige Pierce.
Now, I did play with Paige a little bit before actually, no, I don't think I ever played a competitive round, but I was introduced to her. She was, was it at a World Championships? Might have been at Am Worlds, because I started marshalling for other majors that I wasn't playing fairly early on in my career. But I remember her as a young teen, maybe 14, and she was throwing the distance competition. And I'd heard lots of stories about her, and she was, her form was already fantastic. Her distance was great. She seemed to love the sport. But what I remember the most was how adamant her father was that her profession was going to be disc golf, that she was going to have contracts from outside sponsors, and she was going to make all this money, and that's all she was going to, and just, but it was actually fairly accurate in all that he said. But at the time, I remember thinking, boy, I hope this is what Paige wants. But it sure seems like that is exactly what Paige wanted, and she fulfilled everything that he said that she would, and that was pretty amazing for such a young child, for him to be so adamant that that's the successes that she was going.
That reminds me of the Williams sisters and their dad.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very much so. Katrina Allen.
I did not play with Katrina before I got out of the sport, only when I came back into the sport. My first experience with Katrina was when I wasn't playing, but I went back to Iowa to be inducted into the Iowa Disc Golf Hall of Fame. And Katrina was from that area, South Dakota, Minnesota, in that area. And she was at the Des Moines Challenge. I believe that's the tournament it was that the induction was being held. And she came over and basically told me she was going to eclipse every record that I'd ever set.
Wow. That's bold.
like, wait a minute. Well, first of all, records are meant to be broken, so go for it. But I'm not the one you're trying to beat. You go out there and you beat the course. I'm not standing in your way.
I mean, that would be, in my mind, I'm thinking that'd be like Gannon Bird going over to Ken Climo. It's like, no, just calm down, young man.
But but that's also the kind of determination that's required.
Yeah.
To climb the hill.
You have that self-confidence, definitely. Let's see, Kristin Tattar.
Well, obviously, Kristin, I didn't get to play with in the first go around because she was not.
Well, I like the last few. I was thinking more along, your return.
More recently, I am so impressed by Kristin, and I am absolutely grateful that I've had the opportunity to play with her. Not only generously get placed on her card first round, but also to earn a spot on her card later on in a tournament. Because, well, first of all, just to get a front row seat to see her play is phenomenal. But she is so genuinely, sincerely encouraging, and she is a true champion, and the sport is so much better with her in it.
It was one of the things I did get to meet her after the U.S. Women's this year. After she finished the Grand Slam, and she comes over, and then there's a whole line of people. She takes the time to sign every autograph, take pictures with everybody, and I just said a few words. It's like, hey, you've had a great season. She was like, I've been very fortunate, and I was like, you are so humble.
Yeah,
I love that.
She is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so grateful that she is in the sport because, we benefit from her presence.
Yeah, I first saw her when the 2019 U.S. Women's, and I guess she basically came out of nowhere, and then 2 years she couldn't come back to play, and so there's no telling what she could have done during that time as well. Now, a couple of people that I'm sure a lot of people don't know much about, I'm sure you do. Brigitte Langerhorn.
Oh, Brigitte's one of my best friends in the sport. Yes, she was hilarious and gorgeous. Gosh, she was so pretty. She was very, very skilled, super fun to play with. One of my favorite people in the sport, for sure.